knee keeps cracking. It's like PJ. It's not what we're filming.
It's not what we're filming.
Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of Behind the Brand with BUBU. Today's episode, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about size. It's something we touched on in our first video. If you've not watched that, then you can go and watch that and see how we tell you about how a fashion piece is made. And we did touch on size in that, but we wanted to make a full video around it because it's such an important thing to us, and there's just so much information around sizing, how to pick the right size for you, how to know what size you are, and how different products vary, different sizes and different fits, different materials. There's a lot of information about size, and that's what we're going to talk to you about today. So I'm here with the CEO of BUBU, Marianne, and she's going to be telling you all about size today. I'm going to be asking questions so we can have a bit more of an understanding about size, because she obviously knows all that stuff about size.
I try to.
So I'm sure we have all experienced, I definitely can say that I've experienced this, is that you may be one size in one shop, but then when you shop somewhere else you're a different size, and you might not understand, why am I a size 12 here but then a size 8 here, and vice versa, with loads of different sizes. So why is that? Why do different places have different sizes? Should they not all just be the same?
I think there's so many answers to that question, and I think I want to break it down into different categories. So I think first of all, there's no such things as a size 10 or a size 14 or a size 18.
Yeah. I
think it doesn't exist. I know that's really shocking because everybody thinks, well, or you've worked really hard to get into a smaller size, or there's standardized sizing across all retailers, whether that's online or whether that's in store.
Yeah.
And there's a variance of standardized sizing that most retailers adopt and most retailers work to. But naturally, a Topshop customer, for example, will have a different target market to a Next customer.
Yeah.
They might cross over in some ways, but as a brand, you know who your customers are and you know who you're trying to target. So based on that, a brand will make a decision on the age range of their target customer, the average size potentially of that customer that they're trying to reach.
How would you find an average size?
That is really the key to unlocking what I believe for BUBU is how we are going to differentiate our size range from our competitors, because measuring bodies is the only way to get real data. So going back to my point about companies working within a generic size range, Topshop might cut their size 10 of a slightly different size block than Next, for example. So you might find in Next you size up, and you might find in Topshop you size up 2 sizes, or you might find you size down in another shop because they've got a naturally larger pattern. And that's then not encompassing for the fabric, understanding of the fabric, whether the fabric's got any stretch in it, whether it's the style of the fabric, whether it's a high-waisted trouser, whether it's a low-rise trouser, and also understanding your own body shape. So there's lots of different things that encompass with fit that aren't clearly communicated to anybody anywhere. So I think that's really the reason why you can be different sizes in different stores. But from a BUBU perspective, we're trying to measure as many women's bodies as we can, because we want to make our size 4, 6, 10, 20, 24 based on as close to an average of that size as possible. We're never going to get it accurate. Nobody is ever going to get a size 10 or a size 20 that fits every size 20 or every size 10. It doesn't exist, because we've naturally all got a different shape. So you could be, a size 14 with a certain waist size, and you could have 10 other size 14s and their waist size might be different, their hip size might be different, but their average size in where they shop averages out to be a 14. So I think there's lots of reasons why different sizes, and then when you combine that with height, if you've got
longer legs or wider hips or longer arms, honestly, you don't even realise what type of stuff you need to measure. Like, you don't think of measuring someone's ankle, but we do. Measure everything.
We measure Again, different points in the body, because we're not just focused on your bust size, your waist size, your hip size.
So much more than that.
We're accounting for, you know, when we cut a sleeve, how far down the arm do we cut that sleeve, and does that vary on different sizes? We're accounting for the ankle width on a pair of jeans, and over a long period of time, we hope to start seeing trends in that data. The more bodies that we measure, we also, so using that as a guide, you know, that your size is just a guide. You know, if you go into a store and something doesn't fit, who cares? You know, just buy the size that fits you and you feel good in and you look good in.
I think a really good quote that I saw was that your clothes should fit you. You shouldn't have to fit your clothes.
Absolutely. I think, you know, everybody wants to wear something that makes them feel good and look good and feel like they're comfortable in. Nobody wants to wear something that they can't breathe in, or that's too tight, or is clinging to the wrong places.
Yeah.
But I think also understanding your body type, your own body type, is really, really important when you're shopping.
Yeah, definitely.
I understand my body type. I know the body shape that I have, and there are some styles that I absolutely can't wear because the cut of the fabric, I know the fabrics that the way they're cut, I know the way the shape of them are. I know in dresses I've got a wider hip ratio than most people my size, so I know that if I buy a dress that's tight fitting, it's just going to ride up.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of
problem as well, because I have wider hips and I do have a smaller waist, and then some materials, if it's not going to go in at the waist, I look very not like my body at all.
Yeah.
Whereas I like it to look how it is.
Give you shape.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly, the right shape that I want, but everyone's different. Everyone likes to look like different shapes, things like that. I mean, some days I wear really tight clothes, some days I wear clothes like this that's more loose, and
yeah, absolutely.
It depends.
And I think the size of an item shouldn't determine how you feel about yourself. You know, that's
absolutely.
really, really important. So I think, you know, if you order something a specific size and it arrives and it doesn't fit, there's nothing wrong with your body.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
that particular item of clothing doesn't fit because of the ratio of where it's cut. You know, is it high waisted? Is it cut under the bust? Is it, you know, bust is another huge issue when it comes to fashion.
Massive issue.
And I think the whole boob situation is really hard to get right for any fashion brand and for any cut and for any fabric. So we try and accommodate in some styles where we can, some form of adjustment available in the top section. And depending on the style, of course, it's not always possible. And again, we want to accommodate for those who've got smaller busts and those who've got larger busts. So again, we will design around you know, our lace. We've got a lace mini dress on our website, for example, that's designed for a slightly smaller figure. It's got a cup size that it's got triangle cutouts in the fabric that's designed naturally to enhance somebody that's got a slightly smaller bust. You know, we've got a cocktail dress that's cut quite tightly across the top that's again designed to complement somebody with a slightly smaller bust.
Yeah.
But by the same token, we've got items that are made from a stretchable fabric and tie around the boob area, and you can ruche it to tighten it or loosen it so that you've got flexibility depending on what your bust size is.
Yeah.
So and bust size and dress size have never been more further apart because, you know, everybody's bust size isn't determined by what your dress size is.
Totally not.
Then when you include implants into that mix as well, you're dealing with
totally.
very different circumstances.
I'm a very petite person with a really large bust, or vice versa, a more curvy person with a smaller bust, and it's not always going to be like they go hand in hand. It's not every petite person has a small bust. That's just not the way that bodies are. Everybody's different, and I think we just try and cater to that.
Yeah, I think we really want to educate everybody on, and you know, in further videos we might do some styling sessions on, you know, having a petite frame or having a larger frame or having a fuller frame, having a larger bust or having a smaller bust, and certain tips and tricks that you can enhance certain body shapes or styles that you can wear, fabrics that you can wear. Colours and patterns are a great way of mixing and matching different things to give different effects. And
textures of clothing, lengths of clothing,
and
layers, everything.
it all comes back to personal preference as well, because the look that you're trying to achieve might be different than somebody else. But I think the key takeaway I hope that everyone will take from this video is that there isn't a standardised size. So whatever size you are, if you go up or you go down in different shops, it's got nothing to do with your body. It's likely that that particular retailer is just using a different size block that is naturally slightly smaller or larger depending on why you have to shop there. There's also, as there is always, human error. So you know, sometimes the wrong label can be applied to the wrong item for whatever reason. It happens. Mistakes happen in production.
Definitely does happen.
All the time. And in all production as well. Another issue with size is that when you're producing anything at scale, whether that's a pair of jeans, whether that's a t-shirt, whether that's a jumper, it's machines that are making those clothes. It's not somebody sitting hand stitching something. There might be an element of finishing and there might be an element of hand stitching depending on the item. But generally you're setting up a production line that's running, and to allow that to work effectively, there's actually tolerances set up on those sizes, even when they're accurate. So there might be a 3 to 5% variance on every size that's produced.
And what do you mean by a tolerance?
A tolerance means that, you know, if you know, we were producing that jumper and it had to be the set size that it was for that size, on the line there has to be a little bit of space allowed for the needle to work through, because it's working at high speed. So the tolerance might move ever so slightly.
And what would that mean if the tolerance moves?
It would mean that the item could be very slightly smaller or very slightly larger. I mean, by marginal amounts, but those marginal amounts can be the difference of something fitting really well or not. So again, sometimes if you bought 3 pairs of jeans from the same shop, in the same size, one of them might fit you and 2 of them might not. But that could be because of the tolerance. It could be because the denim's a slightly different denim. It could be a thicker denim. It could be a heavier denim. It could have elastane in it. It might not have elastane in it. It could be the shape of the pattern, whether, you know, you've got wider hips and it's a high waist jean, or whether it's a low rise jean. The low rise jean might not fit you, but the high waist jean might if it's an elasticated high waist jean. So there's lots of different reasons as to why size is so important, but also lots of reasons why you shouldn't take it too seriously. It is about trying to find your fit and trying to find what works.
Absolutely.
And for BUBU, going forward, we're constantly evolving our sizing, our patterns, our fit. I think we spoke about in our last video that we fit all of our models across different sizes to try and get that fit as accurate as we can.
Measure so many different body types, and like we might have 5 different girls who all say they're a size 10 and all of their measurements would be completely different. And that's the best thing to do really, is to try and see how many bodies we can get and how many sizes we can get, and then get data on that so we've got the most accurate size guide that we can have, so that it's best for you guys, so that when you're trying on clothes, hopefully they should fit with our size guide.
They should. I mean, our size guide is something that, you know, is spanning across lots of different patterns and fabrics. So even within that size guide and getting that size guide as accurate as we can, there will still be preferences on the type of fit you like. If you like a looser fit or a tighter fit, there will still be preferences around the style of just something that, you know, the way that you want to look in something. I think the other thing that we're trying to do consistently across our visual is using women with all body shapes and sizes, so that we can show products on different body shapes, different sizes, different heights, and all of the models that we have been, you know, willing to share their size details, willing to share their content of clothing that they're wearing. So that makes a big difference to us as well, because we really want to use real women wearing real clothes.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So when you're making a plus size or curved garment, how do you know how to alter that fabric to make it the size fit that body type?
That's a really good question. I think, again, another common I guess error I feel that happens in the fashion market at the moment is that when we talked about how a fashion piece was made, and once you've got your sample and it's signed off, it's in a particular size, that size is then what's called graded, and it's graded in a way that there's a certain amount of fabric added to all of the sizes to make it the next size up, the next size up, the next size up.
Yeah.
So that typically can be 2.5 to 3 centimetres difference between one size and another size.
But that's not taking into consideration the difference in those bodies.
It depends on the fabric style. It depends on the fabric that's being used. It also depends on the cut of the fabric in the style that you're creating.
Yeah.
I think that's why we really try on a size and a smaller size and a larger size, because we want to see how that actually fits. It's never going to be accurate again, because the size 6 is going to have a different body shape to another size 6, and a size 18 is going to have another body shape to another size 18. But what we really want to identify is if we've got anything massively wrong. So I think when we're creating, I don't really like the term plus size, if I'm honest. I think it's just what size you are. You know, so if you're a size 22, you're just a size 22. You know, I think, you know, we have to use the word curve or plus size to connect with a market who's looking for those sizes, because that's a common thing that happens in the industry. But we really want to try and work with ladies with fuller figures to understand where their pain points are in shopping. We've had a real struggle, if I'm honest, to find women who've got fuller figures come forward to us, and that is a bit of a challenge for us, because we see it as a real opportunity where we can make a difference to the fashion space.
Totally.
Of ladies being a size 18 and above. We've got a couple of really great girls who are classed as plus size, and they're really involved and want to be involved, which is great. But we would love to hear from you if you are a size 18 and over. Where do you shop? What do you...
Well, 16 really, isn't it?
Well, again, I just don't believe a size 16 or 18, if I'm honest, should be classed as plus size. I think we could kind of try and... We use the word curve on our website, but in the phraseology, because people tend to search for plus size if they're a larger size, so we can, and it's a well recognised term. But we'd love to hear from anyone who is classed as plus size. What do you think? You know, do you like the term plus size? Do you recognise the term plus size? Do you recognise yourself as plus size? I mean, I don't know the answer to that at the moment, so that would be a really great topic for us to cover.
And how do you feel fashion brands are catering to your size? Do you feel like they're doing enough to cater to your size? Do you feel like they could be doing more? And if so, what is that? Is that using different materials? Is that testing more bodies to get more accurate sizing? What is that to you that you think that the fashion industries could be doing better? So a thing in the fashion industry is that many places charge a higher amount for their plus size ranges and plus size clothing. What is your opinion on that?
I think for us as a brand, we want all of our styles to be accessible to anyone, regardless of what shape or size they are. So for me, commercially, you know, naturally there is a cost increase when you're manufacturing if you're producing a smaller size or a larger size, because you can only cut so many patterns from certain lengths of fabric. So factories do charge you more for different sized products. But for us as a brand, that's a cost that we would absorb, because we don't want to pass on that cost increase to our customers based on what size they are. It doesn't seem fair to me to do that. Yeah,
I agree. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and follow all of our social medias at believeinbubu, because I am constantly putting up polls and stuff like that of content ideas and giving options of what we're going to be filming next, so that you guys can be involved in the content that you're going to be watching, because it's important to us that you enjoy what you're watching and you're involved. So this was our part 1 on sizing. Obviously we've only touched on some main points about sizing, but we would love for you guys to comment down below with anything that you find that you would like to know our opinions on in regards to sizing, or any information you'd like to know, and just anything to do with sizing really. We'd love to know what you guys think about this video, if you agreed with some of our points, if you disagreed. We would just love to know your opinions and thoughts on that as well. And hopefully you'll join us for our next video.